Welcome to Ranger Recap, a new show or series of videos I'll be making each week after the episode of Ranger Reject airs, and hopefully releasing every Monday morning. Sometimes they may be short, sometimes they may be long. I might make live streams out of it or keep it as pre-recorded videos. I'm not sure how it'll be yet, since this is my first time, and it will be spoiler-free, at least to the best of my abilities. And just every week I'll either come chat solo or try to bring people along to talk about the new episode of Ranger Reject. Today, I'm joined by my good friend Zanka, and on this episode, we're both manga readers, so we know what happens later, but still want to talk about this episode in a vacuum and give our thoughts and things like that. So enough with the intro. Zanka, how are you, man? And what did you think about the first episode?
I'm doing well. I thought the first episode was great. I thought there were definitely some shining points that made it stand out as a series as a whole.
So how'd you feel about like the visuals and stuff, like the going from manga to anime? Did you think it would look as good, or did you think it looked good, or as good?
So I definitely think it looked fantastic as far as the transition, and I think some of the creative choices as far as specifically, I like the way that characters interacted with the text of like names, the
Yeah.
Ranger signature text. It's like
Yeah.
you'll notice it. Once you see it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was unsure how they were going to do that, because in the manga it's always like on the screen, like whenever like a character's introduced, it's like Suzukiri and it's the words are on the screen, and I was like, are they going to like put the big symbols on the screen? They did, and there was like moments where like D would interact and he pushed it out of the screen. He's like, get that out of here. That was
Yeah,
pretty cool.
like him. That's another thing that really surprised me was how expressive the fighters were.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't really translate in the manga.
Yeah, and in the manga you can't really tell that they make so many different like facial expressions and stuff, but I think they did a really great job showing how emotive and, like I said, expressive the foot soldiers can be. It's gonna be hard for people who are like anime only, because well, maybe not hard, but I personally am probably gonna get on some people's nerves because I can't let go of the original like fan scan verbiage, so I'm gonna be saying foot soldier and Ranger Reject. But as people know probably from watching and watching the show, the official name is Go Go Loser Ranger, and I'm going to be calling it Ranger Reject, along with things like Invader D and Foot Soldier D, executives and stuff like that. But the anime is going to be using terms like boss and fighter and duster and Dragon Force. There's a couple other ones. It's not that big a deal, but I'm just used to it at this point. I don't know if you have any feelings on that, but if you do, speak on it.
I like the original translation better. I think it sounds better for the tone of the series. I definitely get the reason for calling it Go Go Loser Ranger though, like the audience that you're marketing towards.
Yeah,
So
definitely a marketing thing. It just feels weird to call them to see that like people are calling them invaders, and they're like supposed to be these vaders. They got like a giant fortress in the sky, and it's like we're just gonna call them monsters instead.
yeah, that feels weird. But I don't know if it's a bad thing, but it did make it feel very like video game-esque.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's good or bad. I mean, I'm sure people could fall on either side of the fence on that. But like it did make it feel a bit light. Like, and I guess that's kind of the point in this dynamic that they're in.
Yeah, I think a good point that you made about it feeling like kind of video game esque at the beginning, like that first sequence that starts with the series. It doesn't do that in the manga, where it like introduces each of the rangers first. Like it shows like blue bulldozing some foot soldiers, and then it shows like pink, and green is like showing off his muscles and stuff. And every character, like every one of the rangers, gets like their own like Green Ranger card or whatever, and that was cool. That wasn't in the manga, so that's just another difference. Also, I'm gonna be trying to put some differences on the screen for people who are actually watching. So if you're watching and not just listening, you should see some comparisons from the anime and manga on screen. Assuming I don't get lazy, which is very likely. But yeah, I thought that stuff was really cool. It felt like a video game, or it felt like I was really watching a show, like a TV show, and it kind of really made the TV this facade really feel like they were really pushing it, like it was really a TV show.
Yeah, it really feels like that dynamic of the old school Sentai series where like it's set in a pseudo reality. Like
Yeah.
it's dangerous, quote unquote, but
Right.
it's more of like it's a show within a show.
Yeah, it's like ooh, bad guys, and they're
Yeah.
doing the fight. Just like, oh my god, Red Keeper's like, oh my god, this how could we defeat this guy? We're so hurt. And they're slowly standing back up while the crowd cheers. It's like, you can do it.
Yeah, like seeing the moments of humans being supportive of the fighters
Yeah,
is such a cool perspective because like as a kid you want to see people trying their hardest sometimes, I guess.
yeah,
Like I mean, it's been a long time since we've been kids.
right, old as hell.
But yeah, no, like I love the way everything was portrayed in the episode.
It's also like because not to spoil anything later, but it's interesting to see that like I guess being an anime only. I mean, neither of us are anime only, but I imagine like anime onlys are probably watching this, and it's like as a kid you kind of you always want the cooler looking characters to win. So like the villains are normally like super cool. I guess in this universe the Rangers have kind of beat them down to the point where it's like the foot soldiers don't look cool, but rooting for the villains is pretty common in any type of medium or whatever. People like the Joker and they like Darth Vader and stuff like that. You always cheer for the bad guys, so it's kind of cool and it makes sense to see them. But it also feels like if these guys were really invaders and they're like supposed to be threatening, it's also kind of these kids and stuff. They're like right up to a foot away from the danger. So it's interesting to see the kids cheering, but also like this is supposed to be threatening. So it's weird.
Oh yeah, no, and I'm sure at least one person in your audience will have had this experience because I don't know if you watched Power Rangers when you were younger, but sometimes there'd be like a random boss of the week, but it'd be really cool. It'd have like some cool aesthetic, and it's like you cheer for the boss in that instance just for that week. You're even as a kid, you're like that boss is cool. I want that boss to win. I don't want the good guys to win this week because I know next week they'll fight a new boss. And it'll be okay.
But it's crazy. It's crazy to have that like that type of environment, but like it's up close. It's like you're going to see like wrestlers at WrestleMania or something. But it's different because these are people and they're not going to come and kill you in the crowd. But like they're cheering for the villains and they're like 10 feet away from these guys and they could jump into the crowd attack. It's interesting that that's part of the show that's incorporated for the like foot soldiers to jump. And there's the one moment in when the foot soldiers or invaders or monsters, whatever people want to call them, when they jump down and then one is like, I'm gonna attack this kid in the crowd, and then he gets blocked by Suzukiri. She deflects his attack, and I was like, wow, they really getting like the crowd involved. I kind of forgot that even happens from reading the manga or whatever.
Yeah, I think the thing about being manga versus anime is that we have this long-term perspective, and where like taking this single sample size is like it really is deep, like the structure of the world. Like from at face value, you get a lot of what the environment is, like how the economy, the world that you're seeing runs, right at face value. The advertisements, how much Power Rangers or how much Ranger stuff is on display immediately as soon as you enter the world.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting to see. Like I like how active the background was in that opening scene when D is like approached by Suzukiri and Sakurama, and like you can see the background monitors are like changing. They have all the different advertisement, like pink has like Rouge perfume or something, and Green Rangers advertised with like protein shakes and stuff like that.
Yeah,
they're just changing the whole time, and there's people walking around. It's not just a blank room or like one or two people just standing in the background not moving, but kind of implying that they're talking to each other. There's a lot of stuff like moving pieces and parts. And,
it feels alive.
Yeah, it feels alive, and he walks upstairs and on stage or whatever into the city, and you see like the cheerleaders and stuff, and there's like parades and stuff. It's real cool. You really get a sense that this world is alive, and it's not just like the only thing that exists is where the main character is. There's people like with trying to become Rangers. They're inviting him to like try and become one. We're recruiting Rangers, and Sakurama gets up in his face, and it's interesting. You mentioned Sentai and stuff like that in Power Rangers. Me personally, I didn't super grow up watching Power Rangers. I mean, I watched it. How much like did you watch Power Rangers and Sentai and stuff like that?
Oh man, as I've said, I like my apparently a lot of my upbringing was based in those like Japanese style shows. So like I hit the full spectrum of like all the Ranger generations when I was younger. What is the name of the other one? There's like in that generation of things like Beetleborgs and pretty much anything that was based on some transformation nonsense. I was
Yeah.
there for it.
So no, my bad. Go ahead.
Oh, so like I've seen the full spectrum of how good or bad they can be.
I was so I'm not tripping, right? When there's a couple times where they showed like the Rangers, it'd be like the screen would be focused on like red, and he'd be like, "Oh my god!" And then it like ding, 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 and then like the four panels that pop up, and it showed the other like four Dragon Keepers. Was it that was a thing in Power Rangers, right? Like when they got into their mechs and stuff, it would always show them like one of them will be like in the leg and one will be in the arm, and you'll see like the camera will focus on their face while they're in the thing. I feel like that was a thing. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
misremembering.
No, that's actually definitely a thing. The split like reaction shot is very common in those team-based theories
Yeah.
because like and it's weird because in reality those situations happen under the mask of the keeper and it's like you didn't actually see a reaction.
Yeah. Yeah. I found it interesting that I think they did change the order a little bit of how things worked from chapter one. So people should definitely read chapter one at least after watching the episode or listening to this, because I think I feel like episode one did a little bit of a different job. I don't want to say better. Maybe it was better. I have to go and look again, but I feel like it did like, excuse me, at least a different type of job. It kind of painted the show in the beginning as if like the Rangers, would be the focus. Besides the getting interviewed by the two kids or whatever, but like the Rangers got a lot of focus, and it was like it didn't really feel like they were, it was a joke or a facade at first, and then the foot soldiers come down and it's like Tigermon, Tiger Maru or whatever, and they do their thing, and then it zooms up and it's like an hour ago, and you see the foot soldiers are panicking. It was interesting to see them like kind of paint it like it was going to be a Power Ranger show, because I know a lot of people probably watched it because Power Rangers, and they probably saw people say like it's Power Rangers and the boys. You
Yeah.
you won't really get the boys thing for a little while. A little spoiler. I'm not gonna say too much, but doesn't really feel like the boys yet, but more just Power Rangers, and then you'll get that splash later. But visually, I think it was incredible, man. Other than well, I'm not gonna say other than I saw one of my friends was like they thought it looked incredible. Besides, like once or twice there was some kind of funny looking CGI, and I didn't feel that way. I think what they were talking about was that initial scene when the invaders come down with the tiger, and it's like the foot soldiers kind of do this like tiger pose with their arms, and they all look CGI, but it doesn't look bad. IMO.
So I didn't notice anything glaring, and there were things that I noticed that were definitely positives. So things I noticed, there when the narration was from the perspective of the Rangers in the very beginning, the camera angle of all of the other characters was from top-down shots, like you were looking down at them. A very interesting choice, and I don't know if the manga does that. Just a thing that I happened to notice in the beginning of the episode.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know if this is intentional. It just felt like every time we were like from the perspective of the Rangers in the very beginning, it was like everything below them. Nothing was like looking up. And that switches at one point in the episode, which is in a great scene. So I hope people watch and spot that moment, and it's nice. Sakurama's enthusiasm in their introduction was great, and the animation to his eyes in particular,
Yeah.
really, really fantastic. Did you watch the end credits?
Yeah, the end credits was really cool, where they show like the keyframes and stuff like that.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
I've never seen
was.
nothing like that.
I would like to recommend that to anyone who comes across this video and watches. If you didn't watch the outro, please do. It is a look into the animation process and is really cool.
Yeah, and speaking of that, like you can really tell that the animators put a lot of heart into it, and like even if you are just someone who watches the anime and comes across this video, the animators and like the studio and stuff, they have been tweeting a lot about it. Like every week or almost every day they put out tweets hyping up Ranger Reject, and even up until like right before the episode even came out, like they were tweeting like every 30 minutes for like I want to say like 10 to 8 hours. So it was like every 30 minutes they would drop a tweet, and it's like episodes coming out in 3.5 hours, 3 hours, 2.5 hours, and it was like I've never seen a countdown by the every half hour. I've never seen that for an anime, and I don't I'm not gonna say I follow the studio for every anime or whatever, but like I've just never seen that, and it's crazy because Kodansha has not really been promoting this series at all. Like their manga app has existed for in English, like they've had an English manga app for like a year now, and this yesterday was like the second time they ever tweeted about Ranger, and I was just like, "What are you doing?" And they market it as like a comedy, and so at first I posed that I was like, "It's not really a comedy just because it has jokes." But as somebody who just picked it up, I can see after watching episode 1 why you would say it's a comedy because there were a lot of comedic elements.
Yeah, it struck a very good tone between where the comedy came from and the characters that were performing the comedy. Like, D is such a relatable character.
Yeah.
Like, you mentioned how you felt like the world was developed better in the anime. It goes to like a writing style thing where in the manga you have to highlight characters differently to start the story.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. It's for people who have read it and people who would like to read it. Araki's book on the Golden Path of manga talks about it. Really good read. But yeah, it's that subtle change between anime and manga made the world feel built very quickly. And I do feel like that's something that was lacking in the manga is that you don't get a sense of how integrated the Rangers are into society as soon as it starts.
I think that's part of hand just also with just not knowing if you're going to be axed type of thing. Like there's always that sense of urgency in the beginning. And then after that, the authors kind of like, they're like, okay, I'm straight. So I can kind of like slow down and pace things out a little better.
Yeah, no, but I think in the anime putting up the active background with the world looking like it's alive, the advertisements, the things on the side, like even the amount of like merchandise and stuff that you would see was so Ranger centric, and I don't remember that being a part of the manga because it wasn't moving, it wasn't present to you because it's not like when characters are doing things in a manga, they're the focus. You're looking at them because they're talking, but you're not always picking up all the background information. But in the anime style, it's moving. Your eyes are drawn to it. So like I caught all the advertisements. I knew that when you brought up Greenkeeper, the advertisement, I remembered it was like protein shakes, and I was like, "That's weird." Like, why did I remember that? And it's like because it was a catchy advertisement,
right? And you can see it being something that exists in real life. Like if they were really Rangers, like they'd really be promoting this stuff. It really felt like The Boys. I don't know if you watched The Boys, right? Hello.
Yeah. No,
my mic went out.
No. Yeah, no. I watched it, and it does. It feels very like this universe is built around these figures. They're integral to society.
Yeah,
and it makes D feel like the underdog.
I mean,
in a world that is like he's supposed to be the underdog.
Yeah.
He's the villain.
He is the villain.
And he really does. He's there for world domination.
I think that's going to be really interesting for a lot of people because we always, normally it's we always follow the hero, and it's like this guy is I'm the villain, I'm the bad guy. So it'll be an interesting twist. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out week after week and how the viewers take it in. Really, the animators really went above and beyond though. I think with all the visuals and stuff. There was actually something. There was a couple more things that, like, in the manga you can't tell. Like, did you notice the Ranger tech, like the cadet gadgets or whatever? Like Suzukuri was using one, and then one of the foot soldiers, when he was having like a flashback, there was another Ranger cadet there, and they had like the dragon tools, and they were lit up the same color as their battalion color. So like Suzukuri was yellow, and her tool was yellow,
yes,
a lightsaber, and then the other guy was red, and he had like a red one. That's something you don't ever see. Like it's never showed like a color page or anything. That's a super cool detail.
Yes, those small details and changing, and there's something we will come to that will be very pleasing in the anime that I'm very excited for in the future, because I think it will be better, just above and beyond.
Yeah, just looking at what they did in this and just episode 1, I know that they're gonna do a lot of crazy stuff with animation, like even the dragon cannon that they had, the gun where they like fired at Eddie. That was a very small panel in the manga. That did not get like they showed that off twice in the anime. It was a huge spectacle, and it was not like that in the manga. That was great.
Yeah, that also the goofy moments of the tiger.
Yeah.
With like the truck tires,
like
on its back. Look, it still looked like an intimidating villain. Like you can tell that they're trying to be intimidating.
Yes, that's that whole creating a monster sequence was funny because it just it shows off how stupid these guys are. And actually, it feels like D is like, I mean, they made fun of him for being like, oh, D is still talking about world domination, but he's the only one that's like, he's showing that he's been on the ground, he's getting to kind of like get to know people and stuff, and he's like, we already did that, bro. That idea is stupid. It's not gonna work. And actually, there was a foot soldier L. Did you catch that was a female? There was no way to know that either. Like that.
Yeah, that really threw me
I
off.
was like, what cute voice? What?
Yeah, and it it threw me off so bad because of how expressive the characters were.
Yeah.
And it was like this abrupt transition. And I don't know if you noticed, but even the fighters' movements were different. They were like wiggly.
Yeah, they do a lot of body stuff.
Yeah, and I was like, what has happened here? What?
Yeah.
Like I love the little animation it changes the feeling of the fighters. The fighters are the thing about the manga that feels the most still, as they are basically the same character model in that
Yeah.
they're like there's no expression there, but now you're getting a full range of emotion from the character.
There was so it's weird because like I wonder how these foot soldiers, because not trying to spoil anybody, but still, like it's funny that like the foot soldiers all have like this same model, but then we have a fat one. It's like, how did he get fat?
Well, I don't know if you noticed this, but the L was like taller and like more
Yeah,
slender.
a little thinner. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like, so you, there's things that we know that we need to talk about.
Yeah, off stream. But like, I think like even like I went back and looked, and I don't forgot now, but even going back and looking, I feel like the Foot Soldier L thing, she wasn't. Like there was still, even in the manga, like there was nothing to tell you that it was a female. Like they still drew the cute kitty cat monster, but I just thought it was another guy just like going oh, what if we did a cat monster? But it was actually a girl, and they were like nah, we're not doing that. You want to be scary?
Well, I think that's some of the most brilliant part of the foot soldiers in theory is that there's no emphasis put on the character. Those are actually characters that you created in your head.
Right,
like,
right.
Like in the reading, you're reading that character in what you're reading it in. And that feels really unique, like about them. They're not strapped to like when you see the Rangers and you hear the Rangers, you get an instant like feel of them as characters.
Right.
But when there was no voice, no animation, like to the manga of the fighters, they're just blank. And that's where I think the anime really will shine over the manga in how attached people will become to the characters that they introduce.
Right. Did you think that it was going to end like the first episode, like how well was your memory of the first chapter, and did you think that the first episode was going to cover that much or like more? Like did you think it was going to be more chapters?
My memory of the first chapter is not great. Mainly because that was a long time ago.
Right.
But I feel like for the first episode of an anime, I'm never trying to compare it to its source material as far as what it covers. I want the first episode of an anime to introduce me to what I'm going to experience as far as the world. Like give me the bullet points and make me want to know more. And I think this did that in a ton of major ways. Mm-hmm. I'm interested in a number of characters that I don't remember being as interested in like Sakurama specifically. I'm much more engaged with Sakurama as a character this time around than I remember being reading it.
Yeah.
Like I don't know whether it may have been the good animation or just the how bright that personality moment is.
Right.
It's just like he's ready to go.
I really I can't wait to see like what anime onlys are looking at, how they feel and what their thoughts are, because going into it, it's like do a lot of anime onlys, or like are they expecting Power Rangers, and what are their thoughts when they see that like it's all a joke and these foot soldiers are basically slaves and they're up in this sky fortress forced to come down and battle. What was I was just thinking about something. Oh yeah, you were talking about like Sakurama. I don't think the manga showed Suzukiri being so grabby with him either. Like when she first meets him, she kind of grabs his hand and like looks at him, and then like in the end, that end scene when he's like hand up towards the billboard and he's like, I'm gonna crush them all or whatever. I don't remember. Like I actually looked and saw that, like, I reread that chapter and saw that Suzukiri was there. But like when I watched it in anime, I was like, wait, he's like talking about crushing the Rangers, and she's like 5 feet behind him, and I don't remember that like being a thing. And I'm like, shouldn't she have heard him? It's kind of funny. I wonder how like anime, people are going to respond to that, if they even catch that, because she's like, what are you doing on the roof? And he says, I came up here to watch the fight. And she talks about like joining the Rangers, and he goes, yeah, turns around and he looks, he's like, I'm gonna beat them, and she's like right there.
Well, yeah, I think it's one of those moments of it's the thing that I was talking about with make me want to know more.
Yeah.
It's asking what is her motivation? Like what do the characters want? What are their goals?
Yeah.
And that's what your first episode should do. It should tell you what the world's about, or at least in my opinion. It should
Right,
tell you
right.
what the world's about, and it should make you want to know more about the characters that you've been introduced to. And I really feel like the voice acting made me want to know more about characters that I genuinely did not have any interest in initially reading it. And I'm excited for characters to come.
Yeah, I'm not big on like voice actor recognition, but I think the voice actor for Red Keeper is the same as Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen, and he does a lot of other like popular roles. I can't remember if any other. I think actually the Pink Keeper is an actual like Sentai, like Japanese like Sentai actress or whatever, and probably some other ones, but the everything was cool about it, and it does a really good job of introducing like the characters and getting people hooked into the world. At least, like you said, I agree with what you said. Did you notice when they showed the fortress, the music kind of got goofy? It was like a Halloween movie or cartoon. Like it felt like I was playing Banjo Kazooie, and it was showing like the evil villain. I forget what the villain's name is in Banjo Kazooie, but the music got like really like goofy and like bad guy, but not like it wasn't like scary, but it was like cartoon villain music. It was funny.
Well, I don't know about like traditional Sentai series, but in like Power Rangers, that's how it was.
They had the bomb.
Yeah, like when you would transfer up to the like villain's lair, it would put on some like silly spooky music.
Yeah.
And like it's that goofy Halloween music that like that's the good explanation for it. It's that goofy Halloween music. You hear it like a party store.
Yeah.
And it really highlights like how silly the fighters feel in comparison. Like they look defeated.
Yeah. It's like a
They're
haunted
like
house for kids.
Yeah, they're like brainstorming how to create a truck tiger.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like this. These are evil masterminds.
Yeah, like they're doing their best.
Their
And
best
that's
is not enough. So there was a moment I was actually watching the episode in Discord, and when after D fails or whatever, like he pitches his idea to the guys in this fortress or whatever, and then he jumps on them. He's like, and then they beat him up, and then you just see D laying on the ground. And a foot soldier comes over to him. He's like, D, you gotta. I forget what he says exactly, but he kind of gives D a pep talk. And the person I was at Discord with saw it was the like bigger invader, like the chubby one. And he was like, bro, come on, please do not be Foot Soldier F. And then his shoulder shows that he's Foot Soldier F for fat. And I was like, bruh. It really
Now-
gave him. It really named the fat Foot Soldier F.
I didn't notice that in
Bruh.
like I noticed it at the time because I remembered that it was Foot Soldier F. Again, this is another one of those things. I can tell you with certainty I did not remember any of the other Foot Soldiers letters reading it, but hearing them, hearing that they had voices and they felt like characters and they had expressions, I immediately remembered that the one is L and that one was F.
Yeah.
And it's like they were on screen for what, a total of a minute?
Yeah, not long. And F kind of gives off like the big brother or like mentor of the group.
Yeah, like he's been there. Like he gets it. He understands why D's frustrated. He understands like what everybody else is doing. They're just doing their best. And he's like, you gotta feel it out.
Man, to be them though, and like to remember, like they constantly are just talking about like, oh man, it's 999 losses. I wouldn't even keep track. Like if I've been losing for 13 or 7 years, I would not. I would just forget it. Like they're keeping score, and
Well, what do
these
you, I
like
mean, yeah, but like, what are you supposed to do? Because in the situation they're in, it's like your options are keep doing the thing or
yeah, I do want to see if one day they will come up with a plan that works. That's not a spoiler, but I want to see these guys do what D wants them to do, and we'll see it. We'll see if it happens one day. Let me see.
very interesting. I hope the future holds a lot for the series. I really hope that it gets ample time to breathe. I mean, obviously, I'm well wishes to the writer and everything. So
Yeah, and I mean the series has been going for about 3 years, so we know it like goes well beyond the like initial is it good arc, and like it's proven itself. As a manga reader, I'd say it's proven itself time and time again. But we still want to see it go further. Want to don't want it to end anytime soon. Not saying I want it to go forever, but
no, definitely not. I just there's so much of the world that I'm interested to see more of
yeah, that's
in that like the information that's out there with the
That's
series.
that's one thing I guess it isn't really a spoiler, but to say like yeah, the story does really like kind of flesh his world out. We see a lot of environments. Everything doesn't take place on this one stage. The story goes places and the characters get developed a lot. I guess I feel like we can say that like it does a good job.
Yeah.
It's no sport. Nobody should be angry at me for saying characters get developed. So it is
That
what it
would
is.
be a hot take.
But let me see. I think I am close to wrapping up my own personal thoughts since this is a first episode of this type of content. I kind of running a little dry. Did you have any more thoughts or questions or anything?
Nothing that I can think of off the top of my head. I really just think everyone should thank the animators and creators of the wonderful things that we get to consume on a daily basis in the industry.
Yeah, for sure. If you end up, liking the series, people who are watching this video, definitely check out the manga, buy it, purchase it, do all those things, support it, because Kodansha ain't really doing a great job, IMO, to promote it. They might now once it, starts blowing up, but we'll see. Let's see. That's, I think that's gonna be all, man. This is episode 1 of Ranger Recap. That's what we're calling it. If you like this vid, please make sure to like it and subscribe. Use the notification bell so you can see, whenever a new video comes out. Like I said, I'll try and have a new one out every Monday or Tuesday unless things change. And I'll try to, get more people on, and maybe Zonka will join me again another time if he wants. He's always welcome. I talk to him like every day anyway. Episode 1 was great and everything I could have asked for. It's been a long time coming. Following this series from the start, we've been reading it for a minute. I can't remember when Zonka started reading it, but I've been reading it since day one. I think you guys will really want to read this one after watching the show, and hopefully these videos push, these type of videos push me into the algorithm more to make it easier for my own Ranger videos to do well, because I put out a couple of Ranger videos on my channel, man, and they haven't been doing great. So if you are watching this, go check out a Ranger video or something, or just check out the channel, whatever. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you for joining me, Zonka. And you want to let anybody know where to find you or what you got going on or anything like that?
Just leave a comment down below if you'd like to see me back on to talk about more various things in the manga and anime world, and subscribe and check out other videos. Do that. Leave comments on those too.
Yeah, there you go. All right, you guys have a good one. Thank you for watching. This has been Ranger Recap episode 1. Holla.